Hey everyone, my name's Mike, aka Braintree56, and I'm super excited to be here on the Perfect Circuit channel to talk all about the Digitakt. Specifically, I'm going to talk about 5 reasons why I think the Digitakt is still awesome in 2023. I'm going to cover some features, some new, some old, that I think make the Digitakt stand out. Check out my channel, Braintree56, where I give a complete overview of the Digitakt, including over 20 videos on all of its functions. You can also find more videos on the Digitakt, including tips and tricks, right here on Perfect Circuit's channel. So make sure to subscribe to both of us. All right, let's jump into the music. The 1.5 update gave us 3 new machines, warp, slice, and repitch, and it kind of repurposed the one-shot machine, which was previously the default and sole operating machine. To me, what these machines make the Digitakt do is make it easier to work with longer loops. So before the update, we had the one-shot machine, and while there are workarounds to kind of use longer samples, it really wasn't tailored to that task. But since we have the 3 new machines, warp, repitch, and slice, each of them sets you up with specific parameters that can help you accomplish whatever task you want to do. Let me show you a few ways you can use them. So I've got a really simple, longer drum beat set up. Let's listen to it. That's it. Right now it's at 110 beats per minute. So you can see on the sampler, if I'm just playing this, it doesn't really work if your project is something other than 110. So here, if we go to the warp machine, it will give us a specific set of parameters so we can essentially time stretch it to fit our BPM. And it doesn't change pitch at all as we move it up and down. One creative way to play with this that's really fun is to mess around with the mode at different steps in the sequencer. So let's set up some trig locks. And I'm going to set number 5 to play in reverse. And number 6, we'll just put it back at forward. And we'll set this to reverse and forward. Let's do something else with number 9. Let's see what that sounds like. Pretty cool stuff. Let's check out the other machines. What repitch does is the opposite of warp. It time stretches the loop, but when we change the BPM, it's going to repitch the sample to match the length. I've got it at 110, which is the original BPM of the beat. And finally, my favorite of the new machines, the slice mode. So what slice does is it chops up your beat into as many different slices as you want, and you can pick out and choose those slices. So you can essentially take a drum beat like this and turn it into its own kit. So by turning the grid, we decide how many slices we're going to divide it into, the length of the slice, and then you can pick which slice you want. Now, one of the really fun ways that I like to play this is to set random slices or random locks. And how you do that is you turn on the sequencer. Let's enter in triggers over all 16 steps and then press yes. Now we can create random locks so that it'll play random slices and make a unique randomized beat. And if you want to change it up, you just do it again. And of course, as you're going to, you can put all kinds of parameter locks on each of these triggers too to make it more interesting. Let's do some of the same things we were doing before and mess with the play mode. maybe add some delay to some of these. So there you go. Those are the machines. They're super awesome and creative. All right, let's take a look at some other things. So number 2 is performance features. The Digitakt is just so much fun to play with in real time. I'm going to show you a few features that I like to use when I'm performing or just jamming out. So I've got a pattern set up. Let's listen to it. One way that you can get creative is by messing with the arrangement using mutes. You can hold down the function button and mute specific tracks. If you want to lock these in place so you can play around in mute mode, you can just press function and bank, and then they'll stay lit. Let's mess around with that a little bit. One key feature that makes this really easy to use and to mess with parameter locks as you go is temporary saves. I'm going to press function, yes, and save this to a temporary area. Now, whenever I mess with anything, if I don't like it, I can just press function no, and it'll go right back to where it was. Or I can use that creatively too to make some really cool tension and release type stuff. So as you can see, there's tons of different options. If you hold down the track button and turn any of these parameters, it affects all of the tracks at once. You could also do it individually. It's super fun to play around with. All right, let's move on to another tool. So the next feature I want to talk about is OVERBRIDGE and how the Digitakt easily interfaces with a DAW. This is what it looks like, and it makes using your computer to edit the different parameters on the Digitakt super easy. Notice that if I push any buttons on the Digitakt, it easily controls the software, and vice versa. If you control something on the software, it changes the parameters on the actual hardware. So that's pretty cool. It makes recording in your DAW and automating things and changing parameters and tweaking things exactly as you like them super easy. But one of the things I really love about the Digitakt is that you can record the 8 audio tracks from the Digitakt onto separate audio tracks in your DAW. You can also have a separate track for the effects and a separate track for the inputs in the back, which makes the Digitakt function sort of as its own audio interface. Let's check it out. I've got a pattern set up. I'm going to make a quick recording of it. And even if I change parameters mid-recording, it'll still show up. Pretty cool stuff. And that way you can go in and post-process all you want. You can add different effects to different tracks or make edits, cuts, whatever. And given the Digitakt small form factor, I can't tell you a number of times that I've just thrown this in my backpack with my laptop and it's been kind of like a studio on the go. All right, let's check something else out. So the next feature I want to talk about is song mode. Now, almost all sequencers have the ability to chain patterns together, and the Digitakt can do that. But on top of that, Elektron gave us song mode, which allows you to save chains together and just a nice menu to create and navigate through different songs. I've got some patterns set up with some variations, 5 of them in all. So let's put them together in a song. You can enter in song mode through the settings menu or just by pressing this button here. I'm going to switch it on, and now it's on. You can see song 1 is empty at the top. Let's put in our patterns. Before I said I had 5 different patterns, I'm going to put in 6 different rows because I want to go back to one to repeat at the end of the song. You press function down to enter in rows. Now let's go back and edit them. The first one is going to be the intro. You set which pattern you want, and you can decide how many times it repeats, etc. The second one will have it be verse. The third one's also a verse. It's just a different chord progression. Then we'll call it a chorus, but really it's just a more developed verse. And we'll do the same with the next one, which is the same as the first chorus, except for it's just changes chords. And then the last one, we'll just hang on the full groove. And this time we'll enter it in to repeat a handful of times. And there you go. You can set it to stop or just loop the entire song. Let's hear what it sounds like. At the top, you can see that it's at 1 of 6, which is the intro section. So it nicely displays where you're at in the song. It's going to play once through and then skip to the next part. Here the drum beat picks up a little bit, and now we're going to hear a chord change when it goes to the next part. And it's going to go back to the original chord, but with a more developed beat and a bass. And then finally, it'll go here a few times through, and then the song will loop. It makes it super easy to create full arrangements, and you can save 16 songs per project. So that's a ton of space. All right, let's check out another feature. Okay, last but certainly not least, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the sequencer as one of my favorite features. This sequencer is just so powerful. I've tried a number of sequencers over the years, and this is by far and away one of my favorites. Throughout this video, I've talked a lot about the 8 different audio tracks, but it also has 8 different MIDI tracks that you can use to control external gear. Some additional features that I like is you can create all these conditional triggers. Up here, they even have some logic functions that you can use so that you can vary up your beats as you go. Not to mention the ability to put noteless trigger locks to adjust parameters at different steps without having to trigger a note is super handy. I really like how Elektron incorporated these locking functions into the sequencer just to make it super usable and extremely flexible. So there you have it. There's a bunch of reasons why I think the Digitakt is still awesome in 2023. It was kind of hard making this video because there's just so much to talk about. Either way, if you want to know more about some of these tips and tricks, make sure to check out my channel, Braintree56. Also, make sure to subscribe to Perfect Circuits channel so you can get all the latest tips and tricks on all kinds of different stuff. Thanks so much for watching. I'll catch you later.